Discover the incredible journey of the 1958 to 1970 Chevrolet Impala, a touching, life-changing legacy. Tommy felt the weight of years pressing down on him as he stood in his family's auto garage, surrounded by the comforting scent of gasoline and the sweet aroma of apple pie wafting in from the window. Maplewood hadn't changed much, but time was not kind to Stanford's garage. Dust coated the countertops, and the laughter of families seeking repairs had faded like the paint on his father's old 1958 Chevrolet Impala, once the pride of Maplewood streets. It was a symbol of the American dream, a dream Tommy longed to reinvigorate. Each scratch told a story, a risk, a loss, a cherished memory. As he worked, he poured his heart into the Impala. He remembered his father's hands, roughened by toil yet gentle as they showed him the ropes of the trade. The rumble of the engine was a siren call, pulling Tommy closer to the past, linking him to the lessons of duty, sacrifice, and love that his father had lived by. But just as he began to tread on that sacred ground, a darker shadow loomed. Jake, his brother, living a life of luxury and ambition in the city. Years separated them, each living under the weight of their choices, each misstep echoing the chasm between them. The tension clung to Tommy like the grease under his fingernails. Stories of Jake's corporate struggles crept into his ears, bankruptcy looming, a high-flying life crumbling. The tension bubbled within him, a mix of anger and longing. Should he reach out, or were their differences too deep? The residents of Maplewood knew the heartache of struggling to make ends meet, and Tommy sympathized deeply. Every family was a little bruised. During those long nights in the garage, Tommy found unexpected allies among the local veterans, men who knew the weight of sacrifice and fought for their country and neighbors. Their stories added depth to his restoration, weaving a narrative of community and strength into the bonds of the Impala's assembly. It was not just a car. It was an emblem of resilience they all shared. Each twist of the wrench felt symbolic, igniting a light in Tommy's heart. As the Maplewood car show approached, anticipation crackled in the air. All eyes would be on the Impala, and while he hoped they'd see the beauty of the car, he also felt the weight of the moment pressing against his chest. Could it be a chance to bridge what had been lost with Jake? What did success truly mean against the backdrop of their childhood dreams? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the sun setting on the day of the show, the Impala gleamed as if it held the stars within its frame. Crowds gathered, their chatter a backdrop to Tommy's racing heart. Suddenly, he spotted a familiar figure. Jake, halfway across the lot, dressed in an expensive suit that seemed to mock the memories they once shared. Could he reach out, set aside the years of silence? Or would pride keep them apart, letting the pulse of the Impala drown beneath the roar of engines? As the crowd's awe surrounded him, Tommy stood on the precipice of courage, ready to take the leap toward healing. Tommy's heart raced as Jake moved closer, the crowd parting like waves around him. The memories flooded back, days spent in the garage, arguing over the best colors for their father's prized car, dreaming of the open road. Those seemingly simple moments felt like a lifetime ago. Yet here they stood in the same familiar space, bound by blood but miles apart in spirit. Jake's eyes caught Tommy's, and he hesitated, just for a moment. The world around them melted into a hazy backdrop, their childhood memories still echoing in the air. Tommy felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Was this the moment to break years of tension? "Hey," Tommy called, his voice almost lost in the crowd's murmur. But he saw Jake stop, his posture shifting as if balancing between challenge and comfort. A flicker of recognition crossed Jake's face, and Tommy felt the air shift, the past and present colliding in unexpected ways. Jake approached slowly, and Tommy noticed the weariness etched in his brother's features. The city hadn't been kind to him either. "I didn't think you'd be here," Jake admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Neither did I, Tommy replied, urgency gripping him. You would have missed seeing the Impala. She looks great, right? He tried to keep it light, but the heaviness lingered. Yeah, she was a beauty. Always wanted one just like it. For a second, the walls began to crumble, the years melting away as Jake stepped closer to the Impala. The shimmering paint reflected the last rays of sunlight, a symbol of their childhood dreams still standing strong. Silence stretched between them. Tommy noticed the way Jake's jaw clenched, how he fidgeted with his hands, signs of an internal battle. It struck Tommy how alike they were, even in their struggles. I heard about the company, Tommy said, testing the waters. Things tough out there? Jake sighed deeply, glancing down as if the ground could swallow him whole. Yeah, you could say that. I made some bad choices. Thought I could outrun everything. Turns out, I was just running from myself. The honesty hung heavy in the air, resonating with Tommy in ways he hadn't expected. I'm in this garage every day, trying to pull it back from the brink. It's not easy, but I remember what Dad taught us. You work hard, stick together, and you find a way. Together the word hung between them, radiating unspoken promises. The weight of the past felt lighter, just for a moment, as they stood beside the Impala, a bridge back to the Brotherhood they had once known. Suddenly, the announcer's voice crackled over the loudspeakers, announcing the start of the show. Tommy felt his pulse quicken, but also an unexpected thrill at the opportunity standing before him. Could this be a new beginning for them? As the cars revved and engines roared to life, Tommy turned to Jake, who stood with a complicated mix of emotions flashing across his face. Why don't we enter her together? Tommy proposed, his heart pounding with hope. I think it's time we dust off those old dreams. Jake hesitated, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Would he take the leap? Would he finally face the past with Tommy? Or would he hold on to the life he had built, leaving everything behind like a fading engine? The crowd cheered, and in that moment, Tommy's heart clenched with anticipation. Would Jake join him on this journey? Would they find a way to heal together? Or would the distance dissolve their chance forever? The answer felt just out of reach, but the spark of possibility ignited hope in the hum of voices surrounding them. Tommy held his breath, the world around him fading as he locked eyes with Jake. The crowd's cheers felt like distant echoes against the rapid drum of his pulse. He could see the gears turning in Jake's mind, battling against doubt and fear. Come on, Jake, Tommy urged, his voice steady but laced with emotion. We can do this. We used to dream about it, remember? It's not just a car. It's us. It's who we were before everything fell apart. Jake's gaze dropped to the ground, his hands fidgeting again. Tommy felt a wave of frustration, but deeper than that, he felt a desperate hope. All it takes is one step, Tommy added softly, willing Jake to see it. For once, let us face it together. Time stretched, and the tension hummed between them. Jake's eyes flickered back to the Impala, its chrome glistening like a beacon. The roar of engines began to fill the air, prompting something in Jake to stir. He clenched his jaw, combined with a flicker of that spark. Might it be just what he needed? What if I mess it up again? What if I can't handle it? You won't know unless you try, Tommy said, his heart aching for his brother. And if you fall, I'll be right there behind you. Jake took a deep breath. The weight of regret seemed to bow his shoulders, but there was a glimmer in his eyes now, as if he saw the fragile threads of possibility woven intimately into the moment. It was the first real connection, a fragile bridge they hadn't dared walk in years. All right, let us do it, Jake finally said, the resignation in his voice brushed with determination. A tense smile broke across his face, small but enough. Just like that, a flicker ignited in Tommy's chest, brightening the edges of old wounds. They moved to the Impala together. With every step, Tommy felt more alive, the energy of the crowd swarming around them like a warm embrace. They were no longer just brothers bound by blood, but partners embarking on a journey toward redemption. The announcer's voice broke through, alive with enthusiasm, sending a ripple of excitement through Tommy's veins as they slipped into the driver and passenger seats. Memories flooded back. They were kids again, racing down dirt roads, engines roaring, laughter spilling through the open windows. Underneath the weight of the world, the car became a refuge, a place where dreams were born. Once settled, Jake turned the key, and the engine's growl vibrated through them. Felt powerful, filled with possibility. But then, as the crowd cheered louder, Tommy noticed a shadow flicker across Jake's face. Tommy, his voice was strained, a mix of excitement and uncertainty. What if this isn't the answer? Tommy turned to Jake, his own heart wavering. It might just be part of it, he replied honestly. But it's a start. We need to trust ourselves, trust each other. Jake nodded slowly, his breath steadying as they pulled out onto the course. The familiarity of the steering wheel felt good, bringing back the comfort of their youth. The roar of the crowd surrounded them, but within that chaos, Tommy felt a new kind of calm. As they navigated the track, Tommy couldn't shake a growing sense of hope. They were moving forward, and in doing so, together they began to reclaim what had been lost. Each turn, each acceleration, was a chance to rise anew. But as the race intensified, distractions swirled around them. The past called to Jake, lurking like shadows under the lights. Could they really keep going together? With cheers and revving engines roaring in their ears, they barreled into the upcoming turn, hearts racing, both excited and scared. Could the road ahead truly lead them to healing? Or would they face another hurdle that threatened to tear the fragile bond apart once again? The moment of truth was racing closer, and Tommy could only hope his brother wouldn't run from it. The turn loomed closer, the asphalt practically trembling under the weight of their hopes and fears. Tommy gripped the edge of the dashboard, feeling the Impala shift beneath them. Just focus on the road, Jake, he encouraged, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. Jake's knuckles whitened around the steering wheel. I can't help but think about everything that's gone wrong, he muttered, almost to himself. The shadows in his mind whispered uncertainties. Tommy could see them hanging over his brother like heavy clouds. Forget the past, Tommy replied, finding a fierce resolve within. Right now it's just you, me, and the road. We can't change what happened, but we can choose how to show up now. Jake inhaled deeply, his chest rising with the air that seemed heavier than the previous night. One more glance at the track, straight and inviting. As they surged forward, the engine's roar melded with the cheers of the crowd, a symphony of adrenaline clashing against the echoes of regret. They hit the apex of the turn, the tires gripping the asphalt with a satisfying screech. The feeling sent a thrill through Tommy's veins. But just as quickly, he glimpsed Jake's expression shift, tension building like a coiled spring about to snap. I'm scared, Tommy, Jake finally admitted, vulnerability breaking through his bravado. What if I let you down again? For a moment, time slowed. The world around them faded again, leaving just the two of them encapsulated in a bubble of sound and soul. Tommy leaned closer, his eyes locked onto Jake's, coppery warmth of camaraderie igniting a shield against the fear. You're not alone. We're in this together. Remember what we said, no running. Just trust us. Jake's breath hitched, then a flicker of something real sparked in his eyes. A glimpse of the brother that Tommy used to know bubbled to the surface and shone through the darkness. As they navigated through the next straightaway, the roar of the crowd turned into a muffled roar in the background. It was just the two of them, the car, and an open road filled with endless possibilities. With each gear shift, Jake seemed to shed remnants of his hesitation, confidence rising to the surface. They were not just looping around a track. They were forging a new path. But even as hope blossomed within him, Tommy felt a tightening in his chest. What if the next turn brought more than just uncertainty? What if it tested the very bond they were trying to rebuild? The fear clawed at his insides, but in that strangled moment, one truth became crystal clear. They needed to keep pushing forward, no matter how daunting the road became. Let us take this corner wide, Jake said suddenly, focusing intently ahead. We'll push through. Trust the car. Trust ourselves. Tommy nodded, pride swelling in his chest. Exactly. Just like when we were kids. As they entered the turn, the G-forces pressed them back into their seats. In sync, they leaned into the motion, feeling the car respond beneath them. Just before they reached the apex, Tommy caught a glimpse of worry crossing Jake's features again. "Stay steady," Tommy shouted, the words propelled by an urgency both hopeful and desperate. But was it too soon to celebrate? The past still loomed like an unseen obstacle. As they exited the curve, a flash of tires skidded off the track not far ahead. "Jake!" Tommy's heart dropped. What awaited them around the next bend? In that charged moment, the balance of the race and their relationship hung perilously in the air. Could they turn this into victory, or would it all come crashing down once more? The moment stretched out like an eternity. Tommy's heart raced, pounding against his ribcage as they barreled toward the chaos ahead. The screech of tires echoed, a haunting reminder of past failures and the stakes at hand. Jake swallowed hard, his grip on the wheel tightening as he fought against the rush of panic. "Keep your head in the game," Tommy shouted, his voice cutting through the din of uncertainty. Jake nodded, his brow furrowed in determination. "I'm trying," he replied, the eagerness tinged with desperation. The sight of the other car spinning wildly sent shockwaves through both of them. The world blurred, the focus narrowed to the next few feet of asphalt under their tires. In an instant, the path ahead seemed riddled with new dangers, new possibilities for failure. Tommy leaned closer, eyes fixed on Jake. "We can't back down. You know what's at stake. Just keep pushing." Jake's eyes gleamed, a mixture of resolve and fear, but that flicker of the brother Tommy cherished ignited again. They'd stared down their demons before, hadn't they? "All right, here goes nothing," Jake breathed, his voice low but steady. He downshifted, and the Impala seemed to respond with a growl, the engine momentarily drowning out the chaos that threatened to consume them. As they approached the spun-out car, the scenery whirled by in a dizzying blur. Time resumed its normal pace, and the two brothers found their rhythm. "No brakes. Stay on it," Tommy urged, adrenaline coursing through his veins. The wind whipped through the open windows, a reminder of both their vulnerability and their shared defiance. They danced around the debris, the rear of the other car barely inches away. Jake's reflexes took over, and he steered with an athlete's precision. Each move felt rehearsed. They had replayed moments like this 1,000 times in their heads when fear clouded their reality. As they surged forward, a strange exhilaration gripped them. They were alive. The tides of uncertainty began to shift. Every heartbeat became a mantra of hope. "We're doing it," Tommy yelled, feeling their synergy spark brighter than any engine roar. Emerging from the chaos, they entered another stretch of open road. The track lay ahead, clear and welcoming, the crowd's cheers rising like an anthem of triumph. Just when the tension seemed to ease, Jake turned to him, vulnerability meeting resolve. "What if that happens again? What if I lose control?" A familiar ache settled in Tommy's chest. "Then we adjust. We learn. And we keep going. Together. We have each other, remember?" Jake held his gaze, a slight smile breaking the tension. Together. But even as they exchanged that fragile moment of connection, a shadow lingered. The race wasn't over. Every lap would present fresh challenges, and their renewed unity would be tested again and again. What lay ahead was uncertain, and that uncertainty loomed large as they turned onto the next stretch. Tommy felt a jolt of apprehension. They were just one more turn away from either transformation or disaster. "Are we ready for this?" Tommy asked, a thread of doubt weaving into his voice. "Ready as we'll ever be," Jake replied, determination etched in his features again. But deep down, Tommy felt the familiar tingling of fear resurface. What if this bend was a test they weren't prepared for? What awaited them just beyond? The answer awaited just around the curve, and as they pressed on, that question lingered in the air, heavy with possibility. The engine roared, the sound vibrating through their very bones as they took the corner. The world outside morphed into a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes, like a painting splashed with bold strokes. Tommy leaned in, his heart a mix of hope and dread. This next turn could change everything. "Stay steady," Tommy yelled, his voice barely cutting through the rush of wind that whipped around them. Adrenaline surged, electric and intoxicating, pushing Jake to focus. He could feel the shadows of doubt creeping back in, each one whispering fears that threatened to drown their resolve. They hit the curve, and the Impala leaned into it, tires gripping the asphalt like a dancer on stage. The world outside faded into the background, leaving only the two of them, a bond forged in the flames of uncertainty. Tommy's eyes darted to the horizon, watching the outside world blend beyond the windshield, blurring into possibility. But then came the moment. An abrupt jolt, a stone rolling onto the track beneath their tires. Panic gripped Jake's heart, and for a brief second, everything hung in the balance. "I got it," he shouted, fighting the instinct to panic. The wheel slipped slightly, but Jake steadied it, letting instinct take over. He could hear Tommy shouting encouragement, a familiar sound that felt like a lifeline, pulling him back from the edge. Just then, something flickered in his mind, a memory of when they were kids, roaring through fields on a sun-drenched summer day, laughing as they raced their bikes, free of worry. "Push it," Tommy urged, and Jake responded, pouring every bit of energy into the moment. The Impala surged forward, its power shimmering with potential. They skated past the rocky patch, right on the edge of control, but the moment passed, leaving behind exhilaration. The cheers of the crowd swelled like waves crashing against the shore, rekindling fire in their spirits. They were more than two brothers on a reckless trip. They were a force, unified and relentless. But then Jake's face tightened, and the excitement fell away. "Tommy, look ahead," he said, pointing. Tommy squinted, and his stomach dropped. Another car was struggling, barely holding its lanes. "What the hell?" Tommy gasped, recognizing the driver's frantic motions. A flash of recognition struck him. It was Danny, a fellow racer known for pushing limits, and now he was fighting to stay in control. Without a word, Jake understood. "No way we're leaving him," he murmured fiercely, resolve washing over them again. "Let us go," Tommy urged, a new strategy forming in his mind. This was more than racing. This was about their community, their shared experiences. They couldn't turn their back on a brother in need. Not now. Jake swung the wheel, the Impala swerving with precision as they flew towards the struggling car. The tension in the air shifted, morphing into something heavier. Would they keep pushing forward, risking their own rhythm, their own safety? And as they neared Danny's car, Tommy realized this moment wasn't just about winning. It was about standing together, no matter the cost. Just then, a blaring horn pierced through the air, mixing with the yells of the crowd. Tommy turned, eyes wide. "Jake, look out!" And there it was, the next challenge coming straight at them with no warning. The stakes had just pushed higher. Would they help Danny and still have what it took to win? In that heartbeat, answers felt tantalizingly close, but the road ahead remained fogged with uncertainty. What would they choose? Jake's heart raced, pounding like a drum in his chest. The blaring horn echoed in his ears, sharp and urgent. He had only a split second to react, instincts kicking in like an old friend. His grip tightened around the wheel, muscles straining, and somehow, he found the strength to steer the Impala away from the oncoming danger. The car swerved hard, rubber screaming against asphalt, a sharp turn that sent Tommy forward, gripping the dashboard like his life depended on it. The adrenaline was intoxicating, and in that fleeting moment, time felt suspended. They were a heartbeat away from disaster, every decision weighed down with the gravity of what it meant to be in that race, to be brothers standing together. "Go left, now," Tommy shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. Jake acted without hesitation, swinging the Impala to the left just as the other car barreled past like a bullet. It barely missed them, the sound of metal clashing together echoing in their ears long after it had gone. They were shaken, breaths quickened, hearts racing. Felt like dodging a bullet. "Are you okay?" Tommy managed to ask, glancing sideways, still in disbelief. "Yeah, we just nearly," but before Jake could finish, the sight of Danny's car drew their attention back. The other racer was still struggling, swaying wildly, the rear tires slipping dangerously close to the edge of the track. Tommy's gut wrenched. He had seen Danny race before. A fierce competitor, always pushing the limits, But now he seemed to be more than just struggling, he was teetering on the brink. "Let us not waste any time," Tommy exclaimed, determination flooding his veins. He pointed down the road ahead. If he crashes, it won't just be his race that's over. He could get hurt. "Right," Jake muttered, his voice resolute. There was no hesitation left in him now. They were navigating a chaos of excitement, speed, and fear as Jake steered them closer to Danny. The crowd roared, a mix of encouragement and dread resonating through the air, their voices a background to the urgency of the moment. Tommy watched as he locked eyes with Danny, who looked utterly exhausted, his face twisted with panic. "Come on, buddy. You got this," Tommy shouted, gesturing wildly, then turning back to Jake. "You think he'll let us help?" Jake glanced at his brother, adrenaline coursing through him. "We have to try. He wouldn't leave us in the dust." The Impala screamed as Jake powered through, weaving skillfully toward Danny. As they approached, Tommy could see clearer now. Danny's face was streaked with desperation, his car wobbling, and in those frantic moments, they all understood the stakes. It wasn't just about winning or losing. This wasn't a race now, it was life and death. "Get ready. We're gonna pull alongside him," Jake shouted over the commotion. With a swift movement, Jake inched closer, bringing the Impala level with Danny's vehicle. Tommy reached out, leaning over, trying to maintain a connection. "Danny, grab my hand." For a moment, Tommy's heart ached at the sight of Danny's uncertain eyes. The tension thickened. Would he trust them? Would he risk it all to hold on to the brothers who had pulled together time and time again? "Come on, Danny. We can do this," Jake yelled, urgency tinging every word. The seconds ticked away, the world fading aside as they reached for one another. A connection that could spell salvation or disaster. Suddenly, a voice on the radio cut through the chaos as the announcer echoed across the track. "This is it, folks. The tightest race of the season. Will these racers make it out together?" As the weight of anticipation hung heavy in the air, they all felt it, a moment that could shift the tides of their lives. A moment that defined brotherhood and bravery. Would they find the strength in the face of adversity, or would the pressure become too much? And just as the distance between them began to shrink, a sudden disturbance shook everyone to their core. What was that sound? Fear flickered in Tommy's eyes. Something was happening, something that could change everything. Jake's mind raced, but everything slowed around him. The world turned into a blur of color, sound, and motion as he focused solely on Danny and the peril he faced. His heart pounded, and he could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. As he reached for Danny, he was so close, yet it felt like miles. Tommy and Danny's eyes locked in that frantic second, both brothers willing their friend to take the leap of faith. The cheers from the crowd transformed into a dull roar, the urgency of the moment drowning out everything else. But then, in a heartbeat, a loud crunch echoed through the atmosphere, followed by a violent jolt that rocked the Impala. "What was that?" Tommy yelled, eyes widening in horror. Danny's car had clipped the edge of the track, sending him into a spin. Dust and debris swirled in a chaotic cloud as his vehicle lost traction. Panic surged through Jake. "Hold on." In a desperate maneuver, Jake slammed the accelerator, urging every ounce of power from the Impala. They tore forward, muscles tense, determination setting them on fire. The Impala surged to Danny's side, ready to snatch him back from the precipice. "Danny, now!" Tommy's voice cut through the chaos, urgency gripping every word. With a quivering hand, Danny finally reached out, his fingers brushing against Tommy's. That tiny spark of contact ignited something powerful within all of them. A bond unbreakable even under the most intense pressure. But the world tilted again. Danny's car spun further, wheels screeching against the unforgiving asphalt. "I can't hold on," Danny shouted, panic strangling his voice. The distance between despair and salvation seemed to stretch endlessly. "Just keep trying." Jake gritted his teeth, feeling the tears threaten to overwhelm him. "We're right here." As they pulled even with Danny's side, the Impala shuddered against the force of their movement. Tommy reached farther, His fingers grazed the edge of Danny's grip as Danny's car lurched violently to the left, tires struggling for traction. For a second, everything felt like it was suspended in time, a fragile balance on the edge of disaster. With a deep breath, Danny tightened his grip, and it was just enough. He lunged, grasping Tommy's hand with a desperation that took Tommy by surprise. "I've got you," Tommy shouted, holding on tightly as Danny's body surged toward them. But just as they were closing the gap, the unthinkable happened. A second car, a rival that had seemingly lost control, swerved into their lane as if the gods of fate were testing their resolve. Jake's heart dropped into his stomach. "Jake, move left," Tommy yelled, panic tinged with clarity. Jake acted on instinct again, jerked the wheel hard, and the Impala dove to the left. They narrowly avoided a collision. Tommy felt a rush of adrenaline clouding his senses, but his focus remained locked on Danny, who was still halfway between their cars. It was a struggle against time, gravity, everything that threatened to rip them apart. And just as hope flickered in their midst, a sickening crunch echoed, the sound of metal on metal followed by a sickening halt. The rival car collided with Danny's machine, sending it into a tailspin. "No!" The word escaped Tommy's lips as sweat dripped down his brow. "Hold on," Jake shouted. With a quick flick, he drove alongside Danny, pushing beyond the limits of safety. The roar of the engine filled their ears, drowning out the gasps of the crowd behind them. And in that moment, everything felt like it was about to collapse. What would they do if Danny was hurt? Was saving him worth the risk they were taking? Tommy looked straight into Danny's eyes as the two cars careened into chaos. Did they have the strength to pull him back? Would they make the leap together? "Just hold on, Danny. We're not letting go." In that heart-stopping instant, hope danced dangerously close to despair, teetering on the edge like everything else. Would they emerge unscathed? Or was this the moment that would change their lives forever? As the world closed in around them, one question echoed in their hearts. Would Brotherhood be enough? Time seemed to shatter the moment the rival car collided with Danny's. A kaleidoscope of panic and dread played across the onlookers' faces as the twisted metal screamed against the asphalt. Jake's hands tightened around the wheel, a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. He could sense every heartbeat, every breath, as if the air itself weighed 1,000 pounds. "Hang on, Danny. Just a little longer," Tommy screamed, his voice barely audible over the cacophony. He could see Danny clinging desperately, face etched with fear, every muscle in his body straining against the pull of gravity and chaos. The Impala shook violently as Jake pushed the limits of speed, the engine roaring like a banshee. He could only focus on Danny's determination, his brotherly heart leading them through the unknown storm. "Stay with us," Tommy called out, his hands still locked with Danny's, anchoring him with everything he had. Suddenly, the world tilted again. Jake's eyes darted to the side mirror, where he saw the other car spinning wildly, narrowly avoiding slamming into an old oak tree. Its driver, a young man letting out frantic screams, lost total control. Jake couldn't shake the thought. Anyone could be hurt, but he had to focus. In that split second, something inside him shifted. He felt the bond they shared, something far stronger than just friendship, stronger than the metal of the Impala. It was as if their lives intertwined, their hopes and dreams tethered together through this moment. And just like that, Jake understood. It wasn't just about saving Danny anymore. It was about honor and loyalty, the kind of love that ran deeper than blood. "Hold tight, Danny." With renewed fervor, Jake executed a risky move, steering the car closer still, mirroring the wild spin of Danny's vehicle. He had one shot. It was now or never. "Come on," Tommy shouted, his eyes alive with urgency. He could feel the sweat beading on his brow as he leaned out of the open window, hands still gripping Danny's. Everything narrowed down to this point, this crucial instant. The crowd was silenced into a ghostly stillness, all breath held, hearts beating in unison. Danny's eyes widened further as he felt the Impala's rush beside him, the sweet taste of friendship mingled with fear in the air. He willed himself to move, but doubt surged inside him. What if he fell? What if he missed? With one last glance into Tommy's steadfast gaze, Danny steadied his breath, calling upon the courage buried deep within him. He dove forward, reaching with everything he had. Time seemed to freeze again. The world spun wildly around them, but in that moment of clarity, he felt a jolt of hope. Danny's fingers grasped Tommy's hand. For a heart-stopping moment, the bond seemed strong enough to traverse any gulf. "I've got you. Hang on," Tommy exclaimed, pulling with all his might. But just then, the ground beneath them shuddered. Danny's car groaned as it skidded harshly off course. A yelp of despair erupted from Tommy as fear gripped him tighter than ever. "No, don't let go." Jake's heart pounded almost painfully in his chest, fueled by desperation as he desperately maneuvered the Impala for support. Time was slipping through his fingers. Could they truly overcome the odds stacked against them? As they swerved dangerously to stabilize, a shadow loomed ahead. It was the track's edge, a drop into oblivion, a wide-open mouth ready to swallow them whole. "Danny!" Jake shouted, voice husky with tension. "This is it. You have to trust us." And in that last moment, a resolve sparked in Danny's eyes. Would he take the leap? Would Brotherhood be their lifeline? Or would fear plunge them all into darkness? Every heartbeat echoed the weight of the question lingering in the air, ready to change everything they ever knew about themselves and each other. Could they truly pull together in this moment of crisis? With a shared breath, everything came down to this. Danny, Jake, and Tommy were fighting against more than just a race now. They were grappling with the essence of trust and brotherhood. As the Impala swayed dangerously, Tommy's grip on Danny tightened, but he could feel the uncertainty rippling through the air. "Pull, man. Now!" Tommy shouted, his heart on fire with urgency. The intensity surged through Danny as he focused everything within himself. The past, the failures, all of it melted away in that one powerful moment. Drawing from the courage deep inside him, Danny sprung forward. Their hands locked in an unbreakable grip amidst chaos, and suddenly, as if fueled by sheer will, they combined their strength. Tommy pulling, Danny diving. "I won't let go," Tommy cried out, teeth gritted, determination sounding against the backdrop of desperate shouts from the crowd. "I end that heartbeat." Time shattered like glass. Danny felt himself soaring through the air, propelled by the raw energy of four strong hands. He couldn't stop the impending panic. The ground seemed to rush up to meet him, but Tommy's voice pulled him back to reality, the heat of brotherhood grounding him. They collided with each other just inside the Impala, and for a brief moment, everything else faded away: the racing crowd, the deafening cheers, the chaos around them. It was just three souls bound together, seeking a brighter future. "You did it!" Jake exclaimed, tears welling in pride and relief as he felt Danny's warmth against him. But the tension was still palpable. The edge of the track loomed close, the danger not yet over. They weren't out of the woods yet. As momentum shifted, Jake fought to wrestle the wheel steady. "Hold on tight." He pushed harder on the accelerator, sensing that the engine's growl matched the rhythm of their racing hearts. Screeches filled the air as Jake veered, narrowly avoiding the drop-off and bringing them back toward the center. The sense of near loss hung in the air, but now there was something new: hope. The connection was palpable, like a source of energy running through their limbs. Breaths came in fast pants, but within that storm of adrenaline, they found clarity. They were alive and together. Tommy looked at Danny, who nodded slowly, determination set in his eyes, as if awakening a long-buried dream. "Let us finish this," he said, voice steady now. Jake shot them a glance filled with crazy ambition, a spark igniting in his chest. "Yeah, together." They began to steer toward the finish line, revitalized by the realization that their bond was thicker than blood. It was forged by shared sacrifices and the trials of life. As they pushed the Impala forward, melody born from the roar of the fame surrounded them. Cheers ignited a crescendo, lifting them into a state of jubilation. Every heart in the crowd offered its own rhythm to their victory song. They weren't just racing now. They were reclaiming more than just their childhood. They were reclaiming each other. Crossing the finish line was euphoric, and Tommy felt tears prick at his eyes as the reality settled around them. Broken bonds mended, sisters, brothers, and neighbors learned to come together, building a new path ahead. The victory was theirs, but so much more than that as the crowd surged around them, shouting praises and words of admiration. The weight of their previous isolation felt like a distant memory. Jake turned to Tommy and Danny, tears softening his grip on the wheel. "I'm sorry for everything, for running away. I realize now that I lost myself. But being here with you both, I found a part of me that I've been searching for. I stood on that line, terrified, but you two pulled me back." Tommy smiled back, heart brimming. "Every step of the way. We stand together no matter how far we drift." Danny pulled them both into a hug, laughter erupting amidst the cheers. "Let us keep this alive. We've got each other now. How about a reunion road trip?" They clinked hands, brotherly vows hanging in the air, and it felt like they were writing a new chapter, a chapter glittering a little brighter, bound by hope, strength, and unwavering camaraderie. Together, they began to walk the asphalt track, legacy in each step, forging a future lit with vibrant memories still to come. The Impala glimmered behind them, a testament to their journeys, the trials, the breakdowns, and their ultimate resurgence. But it also called to you, dear viewer. Your journey does not have to end here. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our community. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. We want to hear your voice. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us inspire each other, one story at a time.